This is Emma Ergon interviewing Diane Kline on February 17, 2007. We are at the office of the Historical Society?
Historical Society.
Okay. And will you agree, Ms. Diane Kline, to my use of this oral history for a PhD project in sociology and anthropology at Florida International University?
Yes, I do.
All right, so we're just going to talk very generally. This is an oral history. We're going to talk very generally about Ms. Kline's coming here, how she arrived to Wilson Manor, and her experience since she's arrived, what she's seen, the changes in the landscape, and the changes in the composition of the population. Okay, basically, you can start, let's begin at the beginning. Where were you born?
I was born in Columbus, Ohio, and we moved down here in 1977. And my husband found the house. I was still up north with my 5 children. And I was here about 2 years before I realized I was in Wilton Manor. We just thought it was Fort Lauderdale. And in 1981, our taxes started to get, high, and I attended council meetings. And then we reorganized the Wilton Manor Civic Association. So
Is that how you got involved? You got involved because of your own personal taxes? You wanted to go and challenge the tax increase?
Well, just have them look at where we were going. They were going to tax us, way out of the ballpark, and we couldn't afford it. Now when you look back, taxes were nothing. Now they're, quadruple, but it's still a great town to raise your children and live in. I consider ourselves an urban village, and I think we've maintained that status, even though there has been many, many changes over the 30 years that I have lived here. So after we formed the Civic, and it was election time, I was asked by a group of people if I would consider running for city council. And I said, certainly. I want to get involved.
What year was that?
1981. And Bill Turner, whose grandfather was the first mayor of the city, was also in the Civic, and we decided to run as a team. I think the first time it had ever been done in the city. And before we knew it, there were 7 candidates running. Bill and I walked door to door, talked to people, did the whole campaign bit, and the night of the election, when we were told that he and I both had won, I looked at my husband and I said, what am I going to do now? But it was a great experience. After 6 months on the city council, one of the council members, the president, decided to run for the state house. So I became the president of the city council, which was a great learning experience. And I held the gavel, which was the power at that time, for 2.5 years, until we changed the charter. And at that time, we went to a strong city manager form of government. And at that point, I became the first vice mayor in the history of the city. We've never had a vice mayor before.
So that was around 83, 84?
82. I was on council from 82 to 86. And I have remained active in the city. I still attend all the council meetings. I was instrumental in helping start Wilton Manor's Main Street and reactivate the Wilton Manor's Historical Society. And I just love the city, love what we stand for. We still, no matter where you go, you run into somebody from the city. And that's part of the urban feel.
In your opinion, what do you think when you say you love what we stand for? What are those things that you feel this city stands for?
Community pride, working together, raising your children and grandchildren to have respect for what government is and how they can help, and to preserve our past. Without our past, we wouldn't be here. We've got to encourage the younger generation to step in after we move on.
Do you mind if I ask you how old you are?
I'm 73 or 72.
That's amazing. And you're still so active in so many things that are going on. You said you volunteered from 9 to 4 recently when
A year ago
when the city...
Right. And then another couple of the other people on the committee, Chuck Poole and Charlie Horn, would do the same thing. We're retired, you know, and we used to have our office on Wilton Drive, and then the rent went up, and the city offered us, this used to be the old building department, but originally this was the fire station.
This space here was originally the fire station?
Right.
And now it houses the council?
No, council chambers were always there.
Oh, okay.
This used to be an old storage room, but before that, it had been the fire station. And then volunteers built that building over there.
So, can you tell me, just since you've been here in Wilton Manor, what kinds of changes have you seen? First, what kinds of changes have you seen in the landscape? Because I guess that's the most concrete that you can talk about.
Well, back in 1983, 83, we wanted to upgrade Wilton Drive. So I was on the council, and we had to hold meetings with property owners and the citizens of the city, because we were going to have to share the cost, the drainage, the widening, the islands, and it was going to be a big tax increase for the property owners and everything. And I had befriended a fellow from the state, and when we were in negotiations, we were at Williams, Hatfield, and Stoner, which were our consultants, and this gentleman, Tom Gustafson, came into the meeting, and he informed us that he had gotten $1 million out of the state to help us build Wilton Drive, or rebuild Wilton Drive. And after he left, I said to Jay Williams, I said, this is absolutely amazing. I am stunned. I said, how did this happen? And he said, Diane, don't you know Tom will do anything for you? So it pays to be nice to people.
Yeah, I guess so.
So we had the islands put in and everything. And about 7 years ago, DOT decided that the trees were too big, and they came in and ripped out everything. So we've been working on getting that revitalized. And when Jim Stork became mayor, he's the one that was instrumental in forming the Main Street Committee to be a vital part of our upgrading of the drive. And a year and a half ago, we had what we call digging the drive. And right over here, you'll see a picture of all the lines here. And we planted almost 1,500 plants from south of High Point down to 6th Avenue. And we did it in about 45 minutes to an hour.
And those plants were they donated to you, or what?
3 months. Right. And they had an architect come in to design all of this. And then we had another building drive 6 months ago right over here by the by the liquor store. And we had digging the drive too, and we did landscaping in there.
So all these people that like help you out, like the landscape architect, did they donate their time to the city, or do you pay?
Yes.
They donate. So you have a lot of people, a lot of professional people living in Wilson.
Oh, absolutely.
Who donate, their time and expertise in various areas.
Right.
Or
and any given time, if we put out a call, we can get 60 volunteers for a project. There's people, on the computer, this and that. And then we have a new director who's doing a great job for Main Street.
So you've had all those changes. What other physical changes have you seen? Is it becoming more of an urban? Is that where you see Wilson Manor going, like trying to develop into a more urban type environment?
Correct. Right.
And do you have any vision in terms of, like, do you want to do like a walking city, or
right.
Is that where you're going?
Yeah. That's why we're working right now on Milton Drive, so that the shops, we need a cover for them to be able to walk the drive. And we also would consider the traffic on Milton Drive. It is heavily trafficked, and speed is, and it's not safe. So we're working on, with DOT, the city, to narrow and give us more sidewalk space for our walkability. We're working hard on that. And as far as the changes, the attitude has not changed, just the building eyeline. The one thing we're working hard against is having a cannon effect down Milton Drive.
And by a cannon effect, you mean?
The high rise. I think our limit is 4 stories right now. We have had some builders come in here and want to go 8, 10, but the city is not willing to, relinquish our air rights.
And you're doing that because you want to keep the feel, even though you're trying, it sounds to me like you're trying to get like an urban, but also maintain a small village type of feeling.
Correct.
So you're trying to integrate those two things.
Right. And the younger population is coming back into, the city. We're very diverse. And I think it's good.
Has it always been that diverse since you've been here, and since you said you came in 83?
77.
77. And since 77, have you, when you first came in 77, was the population in terms of ethnicity and orientation as diverse as it is now, or have you seen some changes?
Changes over the years, yes.
From what to what?
How do I want to word it?
I know that originally in this book, Wilson Manors by Cynthia Suma, one of the original founders of the developers of Wilson Manors, explicitly designed it to be an all-white community. So starting from there, it seems to me, from doing a little research into the past, that the intention was for it to be a pretty homogeneous type of population.
Right. Well, back in the 80s when I was on council, is when we started to see a small change. Right.
Change in the population. And what do you think attributed to that?
I think our location, we're small, surrounded by metropolitan, close to the ocean, close to the airport. Again, it was our charm that started to bring, the diversity in. Right now, it stands at around 30 to 35% of the population being gay or lesbian.
And how do you determine that? Do you have a census, like a city census?
I believe they do.
A city census.
Not a city, but anyway, somebody has come up with this figure.
And I also noticed that you have Thai restaurants, you have Mexican restaurants, you have an African American population also. I mean, it's very, you have gays, you have Latins, you have African Americans, you have a really quite a diverse population just from the surface, because I haven't looked at the census.
Over at Wilton Manors Elementary School, there are 7 languages spoken.
Wow. That is good. I'm so good.
And I'm not sure on St. Clements.
Okay. So besides the fact that Wilton Manors is geographically located in an almost idyllic situation, there are other places that are also ideal but don't have this mix of people that you seem to be having here. What do you think is the attitude that allows this kind of mixing and coexistence of so many different people?
On that, how do I say this? You have some naysayers, but my attitude is we're all the same. We were put here for a reason and a purpose. Excuse me. And it's easier to get along than fight. And I get along very well with my Main Street committee. And a lot of them are the gay, lesbian, and they're hard workers, they're dedicated, and they respect you. But we're still a friendly city. A lot of people won't agree with me, but this is the way I feel. And like right now, I'm in the process of redoing my landscape at my house. And one of the fellows has often volunteered to design my yard for me at no cost.
So you have a lot of friends in this community.
Right. I went to a funeral several years ago, and there's about 150 people there, and I knew every one of them. That scared me.
That is amazing. That's amazing, because it seems to me that it doesn't happen anymore. You know, we get so busy and we're losing that sense of community.
Right.
It seems that one thing I don't know if it was there from the beginning or you've managed to develop, is a sense of community. Would you agree?
It's been here, though.
It was here. Was it here when you first got here in 77?
Yes.
A sense of community.
Oh, yeah.
That if you lived here, then you were part of the Wilton Manors family.
Right. But you have to cultivate it. It doesn't come to you. If you sit at home and do nothing, you're not going to feel the same about the city as I do. But as I said, I've stayed involved, and that it will be helpful for the upcoming generation. And I have 11 grandchildren, so I have to work extra.
Do they all live here in Wilton Manors or in Fort Worth?
8 of my grandchildren do, and the other 3 are out in Davie. In fact, for a while, for 14 years, my daughter and her husband and 5 of my grandchildren have lived with me.
In Wilson Manor?
In my house.
In your house.
So this is why I work extra hard to make my city a better place to live. I'm proud of it.
Tell me a little bit about your experience as the first vice mayor. Did you feel people treated you differently because you were a woman, or?
Well, when I was running, one group asked me if since I was a woman, did I have a brain?
They asked you that?
In a public forum. And I said, yes, I do, and it works real well for me. But getting on city council was or after getting on, it was a challenge. I'd never done anything like that before. And our city attorney was very helpful, Morris Tucker, God love him. He was a true Southern gentleman, and he would just give me the right advice on how to do things and this and that. And he never failed me. I respected him, you know. One night there was a meeting, and the other side, who didn't care for Bill and I, got really outrageous, called us everything but white people. And at the end of the evening, Morris came up to me and said, Diane, thank you for remaining a lady. And I said, Morris, I'll always be a lady. Went out to my car and started the ball. I cried. I couldn't even drive. I drove down the end of the street here, went out to go to Dixie Highway. I have a very good friend that lived on that street. I went and knocked on her door. Patsy, can I come in? I said, I don't want to go home crying. So I sat and talked to her and finally calmed down. And that's the last time I ever let him get to. But you try to remain fair and unemotional. And at that point, it just got away from me. But I never did it again. And I remember the first night that I had with the gravel, I wrote notes on my leg and wore a split skirt.
One of the advantages of being a woman.
It was a wild time. Changes were being made. We'd had the same city attorney for 30 years. And people would sit on council and appoint themselves to city positions. We didn't fire him. We terminated the city attorney. And we put the city administrator and comptroller and city clerk on 3 months probation, which got the field. And don't repeat this. Within a month, I got the city administrator's resignation. The chief building official who sat on council appointed him. He came up one night at the meeting and said, Mrs. Kline, what do you plan to do with me? I said, Sam, I haven't thought about it. Let me think about it and I'll get back to you. In a month, I had his resignation.
Well, sometimes change requires change.
And I worked at every department in here as a volunteer to get to know. I've been down in the sewers, police department, the whole thing. And we have a fellow that has retired, but he comes back, that still works here. And he said, Diane, I must tell you, I always respected you. You never took advantage of us. You worked with us. And then our ex-parks director ran into him about a year ago. He said, Diane, we need 5 more people just like you in this city. So, to get respect, you have to earn it. and you have to be fair with people and like people. And that's the way with this new diversity. That's my attitude. That's my feeling.
How did you overcome all that pressure? You said you weren't prepared, you weren't expecting it, you never went through this before. How are you able to withstand that kind of negativity, at least at the beginning, because it sounds like you did have some people who were very supportive?
Oh, yeah. I think I've been that way all of my life, even as a little girl. There isn't anything I couldn't do. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it well. And as I said, it was a learning process. And Morris Tucker made it easier. We had an illegal pension. I had over 500 volunteer hours. Morris and I even went over to the actuary in St. Petersburg. And we got the pension straightened out. But I transcribed one city council meeting tape verbatim, so I knew what I was talking about. But to get to the final end, I had to do my research and my work, and that's the way I've been.
Have you ever worked outside of the home?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you did? What did you do?
I was a secretary.
A secretary? Okay,
Right.
So you had like all those kind of research, writing
Right.
skills.
Type us 130 words a minute. So. And then my father was killed when I was 9, and my sister and brother and I went to live with my grandparents. And then after they passed on, I went to live with my aunt and uncle.
Where was your mother?
She was an alcoholic.
Oh.
And my sister had to go to Zanesville, Ohio. I stayed in Columbus. My mother went into court to get my brother back when he was young, and the judge gave back. And years later, my aunt looked at me and she said, "Diane, you never felt any different, did you, that you were being raised by myself and your Uncle Bob?" And I said, "No." She said, "I can remember you coming home and saying, oh, I feel so sorry for this person or that person. Their parents are getting divorced." And she said, "But you never felt any different," and I didn't. So, I guess it's my Irish attitude. And then after my husband and I were married, we were told we'd have no children. And I ended up with 5 children and 2 pregnancies. I had triplets, and we lost 2 of them, one at 12 hours and one at 52. Second time I had twins, and then 34th time I had singles.
Wow.
So
You don't take no for an answer.
But going through that experience of losing the 2, I drew a circle. You start at the top with 5. You rationalize all the way around your circle. You've almost got yourself convinced. You're back at the top, and there sits Y again. I couldn't change it. I had 1 child to raise. Other mothers who have only 1 child lose it. I had my chance. And then after I had the twins, I said, "Oh, how lucky you are. They replaced the triplets." And I thought, how callous. Nothing will replace them. They'll always be mine. And these 2 are completely different.
Were the triplets like natural triplets, or did you take fertility drugs, or?
If I take fertility drugs, I'd have had a litter. You know? See,
we were talking about Flamingo Gardens.
when I came down to Florida, there was an ad in the paper for a part-time in the fruit shipping department, which was over on Federal Highway. So I went in with the intention of having my son do it, but he wasn't available for the interview. So after they interviewed me, they offered me the job. So I took it, and I was with them for about 13 years. And then I just did a little part-time jobs after they closed. And then I saw an ad in the paper, part-time, fruit shipping, and I thought, oh, that'd be kind of fun. So I went out there, and I've been there 12 years. And it's just part-time. I work November to April, and then I get the summers off. So it keeps my mind active.
Actually, I don't think you need that job to keep your mind active. But anyway, okay, so anything else? But let me just ask you, in general, why do you think that the value of the real estate is here? I remember the first time we met, you said that you lived in a house that you bought for $50-something thousand.
4-3 on water. And 54,000.
Was that in 77?
Yes.
You're still living in the same house?
Correct.
From when you came? Okay.
Right.
And now 30 years later, it's worth like $500,000 or $1 million? More than $1 million?
Because we have remained such a quaint city. And as I said, our desirable locations, the airport, the beaches. Now we're starting to get shopping, but we're close to Las Olas. And we never planned to be a Las Olas. We would be the drive. And as far as the property, we're surrounded by water. There's a few landlocked homes, but you can drive around or boat around the city, the entire city. In fact, my game, just doing our oral history, we took and photographed everything, from the water.
What is his name again?
Mike James.
He's doing oral history of who? Of
pioneers, the residents.
The resident pioneers of Wilson Manor.
Right. I set up all the appointments, and Paul Cuba did all the narratives, and we've interviewed Liza Taylor's, James Dean, Cindy Suma and her mother, Rick Miller, Barton and Miller, Bill Turner. Isn't that all? I can't have a list at home. But anyway, it's
about how many families do you think the pioneers of Wilson Manor are? 20 families?
Oh, there's more than that, but we just did the ones that have been here the longest. A woman on my next street, I picked up and brought to the interviews because she doesn't drive anymore. And we must have 10 or 12 of the families. No, there's a lot more. We have some people that are turning 100 this year.
You have people turning 100 living in Wilson Manor.
Yes.
Who are part of the original pioneers who stayed here forever?
Right.
Okay. So interesting to see and hear what they have to say, what they've seen, and are they happy? Do you get a general sense of what they feel about what's going on here?
Oh, yes.
They're happy, they like what's happening?
Right. Well, you see the building boom, and the older residents are upgrading their houses. Maybe one day I could just drive you around the city.
Oh, I would love it. I would love it.
Yeah, and I can, show you what sections, the northwest section.
That would be great.
Okay.
One of the things is, do you think that things have started happening more recently, like maybe within the last 5-10 years? Because I remember I moved to North Andrews Garden in 1989, and I would come by, and it was still like very quiet. Wilson Manor still had that flavor of a little town, but it was very quiet. And now my personal experience is that I've seen like more movement here. It's becoming kind of a business, arty, more kind of a place. When do you think that shift happened, and why do you think it happened?
Well, I think Georgie's alibi. George Kessinger, you've got to talk to him. He opened Georgie's alibi, and that used to be a bank. And the drive was dead. Nobody had done anything to upgrade further since the 80s after I got off city council. We just sort of stagnated, and it was going downhill. We had the trailer park there. And
I remember that.
So then Jim Stork started the Main Street, revitalized the historical. Georgie's alibi came in. It became a mecca for the gays. He is a very giving person. There isn't anything you'd ask of him that he wouldn't do. He kicked off our Main Street campaign with a $10,000 donation. And as I said, the gays were here in 88, but they were not visible. You didn't see them, know them, or anything. Then 8 to 10 years ago, with Georgie, you just started to see, you know, most of the people say I've been here 8, 10 years, or I just moved. The Curiosity Shop, which is now moved because they got transferred out of town, they lived in Boca. And they came down, and I was in the office at Main Street over there, and was telling them all about the city and what our plans were and this and that. So Warren, they rented a shop on Wilton Drive, and he said, Diane, if it wasn't for your enthusiasm, we would have never come to this town. So here I am, straight, talking to a gay couple, and they have the same feelings as I do. Why wouldn't we rock them? And they upgraded their homes.
And they're in the Curiosity Shop?
Well, it's closed now.
But they came here from Boca?
Mm-hmm.
Because they felt...
And another girl that used to be on our, was just right across from the high school in those new townhouses. Her husband was a retired magistrate from Puerto Rico. She's from New York. And they were walking up the drive one day, walked into Main Street, sat down and talked to me. And she would come by almost every day just to talk. And then she wanted to be on our board, so she was.
Literally, the people off the street who come in and show an interest and...
Right.
And want to do something.
Right. At one time, we had over 200 volunteers for Main Street. So it's just, you know, pride in your community. Be you black, white, gay, straight.
But it sounds like even just one person with a vision for a place can get that change going. Because if they didn't know, you had Georgie come and talk to somebody else, had these people come from the Curiosity Shop and met somebody who maybe wasn't as open or willing to
negative attitude on it. And I know if they had talked to other people, taken it down. I know that for a fact.
You think they would have gone a totally different direction?
One thing I will never do is badmouth. I don't care how much I dislike, I will not badmouth. Keep it positive. No, but anything you need, now pictures.
All right, I just
Get a hold of me anytime.